So let's talk about rope management. So rope management, I feel, is a critical skill, but it can be easily overlooked. I remember when I first learned to climb. So I learned to climb at college. I went and studied arboriculture at college, and one day a week would be climbing. And what I remember when I first learned about climbing is it was exciting. You just wanted to get up into the tree, especially when, the rest of my college, my studying was all inside, was, assignments. So the 3 hours a week that I got to do climbing, it was just like the most fun ever because you're outside, being physical, not studying, not looking at textbooks. And so I just got excited, but a lot of it didn't really sink in. The key points like tying the hitches, how to limb walk, like those real basic fundamentals kind of sunk in. But it's not until you get out into the workplace and start tying yourself up in knots and you start making big birds nests with the rope and everything that you start to, and maybe you don't even still understand how to manage your ropes properly. And I feel like as if you're a trainer, you're teaching like new apprentices on how to climb, I feel like really hammering home the importance of rope management is critical because it's all well and good climbing around the canopy, limb walking, getting to the target, which might be a branch that you need to prune off, that kind of thing. But if your rope management is bad, it's gonna slow you down. Maybe you feel like you're gaining skills and you're being quick at climbing because you're reaching your target, but then on your way back in or on your way to another part of the canopy, the rope might be caught over some stubs, and there might be it might all be knotted and dangling down, somewhere in the canopy. It might get caught and stuck, and then it means you're stuck, especially if you're climbing on a moving rope system. You can get trapped in the canopy, you can't go any further down. So rope management is such an important skill, although that term, I don't think I ever really heard the term properly and noticed it was being repeated over and over again until I started doing tree climbing competitions. Now, obviously, in my first 6-7 years of climbing, the people that taught me to climb, my old boss, he would more than likely have told me, you need to keep your ropes free, the tail of your rope free. You need to maybe throw the tail of your rope where you're heading in the canopy, so there's not a lot of friction on the tail of your rope pulling you backwards. All those kind of things, but it didn't really sink in until I started going to tree climbing competitions. Now, if you've ever visited, taken part in, volunteered in, or watched a tree climbing competition, you'll hear it so many times throughout the day. The audience or other fellow climbers shouting to somebody climbing, saying, rope management, rope management. And that's because it means they have to always be conscious of where the tail of their rope is going. Maybe they're climbing out on a limb and the rope is all bundled and it's about to get snagged on a stub, or maybe they're heading back in and it's caught on a stub where they've already come from, or maybe the rope has half hitched itself and you just need to kind of flick it a few times to unravel the rope. There's so many small things that can catch on your rope, like twigs get caught, small little epicormic shoots get caught in your rope, and so you always need to be aware and conscious of where the tail of your rope is. Is it caught on anything? Is it free? Is it a nice kind of line back to the ground? Do you need to throw it through the canopy to where you're heading to ease up all that friction that's going to be pulling back on your system? So you hear it all the time in the competition, and it's funny because if it wasn't an important part of tree climbing, the work climb in a tree climbing competition is only 5 minutes. So within those 5 minutes, if you've spectate the amount of people that you'll see whose rope gets caught up while they're climbing within a 5-minute period is crazy, which just shows you how common and how often it will happen, because every tree is different. Every tree has branches in different places, stubs, shoots that your rope can get caught on. If anything is ever going to happen in to a rope, it's going to happen in a tree. Trees, unpredictable. You can't really plan for where the rope's going to get caught. It's not like we're climbing on a building with flat surfaces where there's no little pegs and stubs to things to get caught on. So that shows how important it is for rope management and how much more efficient it can make you as a climber. Because if it speeds you up in a 5-minute competition, then how much is it going to speed you up over the course of a whole work day if you're managing your rope constantly? And the strange thing is about it is that if you're constantly focused on, where's my tail, am I managing it, is it getting caught up, where do I want it next, it seems like you may be putting more effort in than is necessary, than, oh, why don't I just leave it trailing behind me, don't pay any attention. And that might be fine through the course of a day, through the course of a couple of days, but it will catch you out. And when it catches you out, it's going to waste so much time, so much energy. You might get stranded in the canopy. And then the more you focus on rope management, the more you're aware of it, the more you'll be aware of when other people are climbing. Is there rope on the ground? Is it getting snagged up in branches? Is it getting... then you look at rigging. Is the rigging rope going to get snagged up? And managing the tail of your rigging rope on the ground when you're rigging, especially when you're using a porter wrap, having it in a big bag or a box or something is critical. And always feeding it back in every time may seem like it's kind of a waste, because every time you lower something down, it's all going to come back out again. And so, do you really want to be feeding it all back in? Well, try it, and you probably find, it doesn't take that long to feed the rope back in a box or a bag, and you're less likely to get branches snagged in the rigging line as you're feeding it through, or tripping over the rigging line. So rope management when you're rigging is key. Going back to being in the tree, in the canopy, the more you use ropes in the canopy, so you're climbing and maybe you're rigging, and especially now in the UK where arborists have to be climbing with 2 ropes all the time, the more ropes that you have in a canopy, the more it will show if you have the rope management skills or not. Because if you've got 2 ropes, 3 ropes, 2 rigging lines, tag lines, all this kind of stuff, the better you are and the better your rope management skill is, the easier and the more fluid and the better the day is going to flow through, and you're not going to have any hiccups, or you're not going to spend 20 minutes fighting ropes getting knotted up, like getting stuck in the canopy. But if you really don't pay any attention to your ropes, where the tails of your ropes are, where your rigging line is, then it will catch you out at some point. And we've all been there, and if you haven't been there, you must be very, very new to tree climbing, and I promise you, you will get tangled up, you will get stuck in the canopy. So make rope management, put it at the forefront of your mind in every single climb. Think about where your tail of your rope is, think about where you're going to next, think about or see all of the little stubs that your rope could get caught on, and take action accordingly. Flick your ropes around stubs that you might think they might get half hitched on or are going to cause a problem, and just always kind of be thinking one step ahead, and that will really minimize the amount of issues you get with the tail of your rope getting stuck, with your rigging lines getting caught on stubs, with you know, with other climbers in the tree when you're on the ground, with their ropes getting bundled up and carrying branches all the way up the tree. And like, we should be aware of all the ropes all of the time on the job site, whether that's you climbing or whether that's you on the ground. So yeah, start thinking about your rope management as a constant, as a daily practice. Whenever using ropes, constantly think, are these ropes kind of clean and tidy? You know, are they in the box? Are they in a bag? Are they likely to get caught up on a bunch of branches on the ground? Like, just try and keep them as neat and tidy as possible. Obviously, when we're climbing, we're always moving around, so the rope's always moving. So, you know, that's why you always need to be thinking, right, where's my rope? Can it be tidier? Can it be less likely to be snagged on something? And, you know, it's going to happen, but the more we can think about it, the less likely it is to happen. So thanks very much for watching. I hope this has been useful, or will be useful if you start putting it into practice. Yeah, thanks again. Much appreciated.